All right, welcome to the channel. Let's continue with Screamers series. Yay! Hey, I'll do something different this time. I mean, just slightly different. I'll cover a clone of Super Overdrive. So this is MXR's Zakk Wylde Overdrive. So let me see if I have it here somewhere. Yeah, I do. And that's it. This is it. Wylde Overdrive. Zakk Wylde used SD1 a lot, and this is, working with MXR, they came up with this overdrive. It's pretty similar, I'll cover the schematic and differences like in the previous video, I've done this something similar on the previous one. I'll put the links below, there's schematics, what's the difference. Find that in the description. In the last video, I didn't get my breadboarded version to sound exactly the same between SD1 and TS808, and you might consider this a flop. I still haven't given up on it. I'll get it working, but this is all, it was a learning experience. I'll come to that at some later stage. In this video, I'll look into modding this MXR Overdrive. Keep on watching. This will be, one of the easiest mods you can do. But again, in description you'll find all the details. Now, let's get going. If you want to look into more detail how these pedals sound like, I'll put a link somewhere here. There's this video that covers, both, Wylde and Berzerker overdrives. I'm not going to get into that. There's also discussion about, and actually demonstration of difference SD1 and MXR's one. They sound, well, spoiler alert, they sound really close. There are differences at some places, at some settings, but they look very similar. So from perspective of looking into schematic, here's schematic. If I flip between SD1 and MXR version, they look similar. First of all, you might notice that there is difference. This one has input and output buffer. This one has only input buffer. And the thing is here, it comes down to wiring. The wiring is different, while SD1 has that electronic, how do we call it, buffer, that switch. This one is not really buffer switch. This is not, it has hardwired switch, so it's a bit different, and it doesn't require output buffer because of that. Having said that, properly done, shouldn't make a huge difference. There should be 0.1% distortion introduced by something like that. Other than that, the layout of the circuit is pretty much the same. This part here is pretty much the same. If I zoom into details, and I kind of annotated this, you probably, if you've seen my previous videos, I've done similar thing, and in this case I just put a bit more of these badges here to indicate what's what. If I zoom into just the clipping section, and I kind of marked a few things here, this green thick means it's exactly, nearly exactly the same. There is this slight difference, so I'll flip between them. So there is this capacitor missing here, as you can see. That's the only difference. Everything else, don't get, this is just swapped around. It's exactly the same thing. There is a taper difference, slightly, probably slightly better control on this one, you know, maybe. But this filter is the main difference. So literally this one capacitor here. This normally kicks in at very high gain settings. So when you go all the way well above 3 p.m. I suppose that kicks in. Everything above that is probably not in audible spectrum. And if I go, there's a bit more difference here in tone section. You know, I kind of mark this cutoff frequency here of this low pass filter is way lower than an SD1. You know, we're talking about 338 hertz versus 884. But here we have this filter at higher frequencies. So here it's half of that nearly. So it's a bit difficult to say what would be the difference in sound and how. I covered that earlier. Everything else is pretty much the same. The gain of this section is the same. There is this filter here is exactly the same. So this part here, this here is the same. The real difference is these two capacitors. That's all. Makes it sound slightly different, not entirely different, pretty similar. I thought it was interesting here. There's this at output. There is this what's the name? At the output here, you know, how this is arranged. It at maximum output, it still causes a slight drop because you know this. If I look at here, 4.7K here, but the output potentiometer is 100K. So at the maximum, it's very little, small drop. But here, it's only 10K. So there is a slight and possibly audible, well, definitely audible drop in sound. Won't make a huge difference at the output. Just thought it was interesting to note. Okay, one interesting part is this switch, and okay, I have it here. Here's the pedal. I dismantled it so I can get access to the inner circuit inside. So there is a switch here, and that's the switch here. It's kind of a very innocuous little change, but it does make a difference to the sound, and we'll hear that in later on. So essentially, and you would have to probably have this one is from 2006. Yeah, this is August 2006, I think, or February. Coming from America, I'd say this is February. But you know, I would say depending on the edition of this PCB, you know, when it was manufactured, you might get switch or you may not. I don't know if that's the case with the later ones. But you can see here there is ZW44, which is Zakk Wylde, and then you have this CSP021. I'm not really sure, and you have this custom OD information. So what this does, it's actually flipping between these two. I kept it here. You know, I dismantled it so I can see if the difference is that big, so it warrants a mod. So what I was thinking, maybe replace this switch with some miniature toggle switch, put it on top of the board. This goes when you open the pedal, you can't really see it. You have to take everything down, and you know it's very hard to access it unless you take off everything. So we'll see how that sounds, and then we'll see how that works. So the difference really is if we look at the output, this is SD1 tone, just of the tone section. Okay, if I look at it here, you know, the difference between tone sections of while it does look like a big difference, I'm sure you can see that there's a huge overlap in this section. So I'd say EQ wise, these two should sound SD1 and Wylde Overdrive should sound a lot similar in the middle of the you know, when you put tone control somewhere around the middle, but at the very extremes it will probably sound different. Makes no difference to you if you keep it at this position all the time in this range, but definitely will be there will be some difference. And this is what happens when you flip the switch here and you get the GT OD, and it's quite a big difference. But we'll see that the total looks a bit squashed, this response, but we'll see if I go and look at what did I want to show here. Just kind of I align them. This is frequency response of the whole pedal. So if I align them, and you can see that it's nearly just as if that switch just kind of lifts up this bottom end 6 dB. So, well, when we say 6 dB sounds, you know, whatever, but like that's half or twice as in terms of how loud it is or output signal. It's twice, not how loud it is the output signal is twice the level. Okay, increase of 6 dB. That's what it is. And if I say, for example, if I take GT-OD and, oops, what did I do? I want to select everything here, and then I just lift it up or down. Oh, so I slowly pull it down. Relatively, and I'm not touching anything. It goes, does it? Ah, come on, stop. Okay, I'll try to do it this way. So relatively EQ response of this pedal is nearly the same, you know. Obviously, there's a bigger difference at the very end of high frequency spectrum, you know. So if I just remove this, you know, you can see that it is a bit different. Now, if we say output level is, we put output level, where is output level? I'm just demonstrating here because this one is out of the there from the enclosure. So if you put output level at half, or you put it all the way up, and GTOD you put at half, you get pretty much exactly the same response. But of course that's not. There's definitely a difference if we're gonna use that setting. So let's do some playing with this and see how they sound. Yeah, I'd say it's worth modding it. There is definitely two different voicings, right? So what I'm going to do is turn this off, and then I'm going to desolder this switch. This is Zakk Wylde's overdrive. This is GTOD. I have this nice sub miniature switch, or yeah, whatever. So I'll desolder this. I'll use my. You can use whatever you want to use. I have that if I can find it, even that vacuum pump. So I wouldn't recommend you if you don't know what you're doing, and you might ruin the PCB. Now I'll take a risk, see if I can do something about this. I'll use some wire there, and I'll pull it out on this side because there is a bit of I don't have enough clearance here from this capacitor. There's more room here. Now it's a bit of a risk with high gain pedal running all these wires, but look, I'll desolder, give it a try, see how it sounds, and go from there, right? I managed to do it. Right. The switch is hosed, unfortunately, but that is something that can't be expected. Just be careful. If you need to keep the switch, I'd say that's gonna be tough. Anyway, let's solder this switch in and see how that goes. I just need to be careful that I don't short anything or anything is touching anything else on the board. This should be okay. Right, that's it. Looking good. I'll try it out before I'm planning to put it here. Somewhere like here. Yeah. Just making sure that everything can fit. And I don't get these, don't get in the way. I'll test it out and then I'm just gonna mark it here, do a pilot hole here, and then do the proper drilling, and then I'll fix it there. Let's see how that ends up being. All right, that looks neat. Okay, let me assemble it and try to see if it's working. I mean, how it fits, and I'll play a bit after that. That looks pretty decent, huh? Maybe I could have moved it slightly to the right, huh? But looks all right. All right. Let's see. Is it still working? right, that does it. Sounds alright. I didn't make a mess out of it. It looks surprisingly well here. For the next time, I'll try to mod my breadboard that we saw at the beginning of the video, and maybe see what I can do with all the things I've learned by doing all these tube scream-like circuits, and see if I can make more configurable clipping section. Ultimately, I want to see if I can make my own crazy, versatile tube screamer version of a pedal. Alright, let's see how that goes. Until next time.